I'm trapped in the closet.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the HoloNet Marauders podcast. I'm AJ, and HoloNet Marauders Live. Everyone's laughing early this time. I don't know why.
You left the picture of Linus and Mosk up. That's why.
Well, that one, it's always got to be there for like a second. But I'm AJ, joined here by my larger Bombad batch this week. We're joined here by Levi from All New Nerds. You've seen him on our show before plenty of times, but it's been a while.
Benny of this episode. I'm Benny.
You stole our chef.
I'm just showing up. I'm cameo.
2 stripes on.
Are you going to betray us?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I come around in the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
No one noticed, but Levi was actually here last episode with a helmet with like
With a
feathers
mask,
on it and
yeah.
stuff.
I
Feathers, yeah.
cannot possibly explain how disappointed I was when it turns out he did not have feather hair.
Right?
We went
Yeah.
off
Happy.
for a while about that. I'm
I
just
was
like, no,
not
you
happy.
don't understand.
It was pretty obvious.
No, it wasn't obvious. Could have been feather hair.
It was obvious
It's
that it
not
was his hat.
Yeah.
You're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
It
I
was
didn't
like
know
a
what it was.
predator kind of mask.
I don't have a
know
strong
it's
take on
bad
this.
example because the predator.
Like once
Um,
you understand it was a hat, it was like, yeah, that's definitely a hat. But
Just keeps the wind off your neck.
I really
But-
liked Omega's Ipsium drill. That's all I have to say about last.
Yeah.
It's a cool drill. I was like, I want
It
that
was a
drill.
cool drill.
I'm gonna make one of those.
Yeah, Jamie found a 3D print file, which our 3D prints are kind of like shot the bed
Someone already
tonight, but we
modeled
don't
that?
know.
Damn.
Yeah, so our
Well, your
3D
printer's
printer is
fine.
having some trouble recently, but it's been going
well.
well. But there's some trouble.
Which
But
means-
no,
Ooh.
Ah, so
Mm.
close.
yeah, the Hunter
You guys are
helmet's
gonna-
on its way.
Yeah, y'all
I'm
are
very excited.
this close to a full helm.
No, but the Ipsium mining gun, Rami from the Dad Batch show, he modeled it already. So
Oh,
it's
yeah?
out there.
Wow.
Clone
Bravo.
Wars stuff is like pretty easy to model. Yeah, that's an easy turnaround.
Yeah.
But Levi, since you're here, we haven't really talked to you in a while in general, just over text. But what has been, catch us up with your thoughts on Bad Batch so far, season 2?
Well, I'm liking it actually a lot more than season 1. Not that I don't like season 1. I actually love season 1. But going into the season, I thought because the biggest complaint about Bad Batch was in its week-to-week structure. People like an episode like in this season, like Entombed, or last season it would be Infested. Like we would get to that week and people would be like, "The Bad Batch is a terrible show," and just like ignore everything else surrounding an episode, just because of the nature of and this is animated Star Wars. And for me, as an animated Star Wars fan who's been watching week to week since 2008, I'm like, these episodes are almost all like top class. I'm like, these are great. Like, there's not a single one of these that I go, no, I wouldn't want to watch that again. I am here for all of it. And clearly this story is becoming, it is not a story of just the batch. It's about all the clones in the galaxy. And I like that angle, seeing Palpatine, seeing the Senate, seeing how the clones are evolving after the Clone Wars. It's a story that I'm glad is being told. And I don't know, I'm happy with it. I don't really have any complaints.
Absolutely. I mean, we all pretty much agree here with that, I think. And seeing all the clones rather than just the Bad Batch is really cool. Hopefully we get to see more of that going forward. And I just like with this episode, Retrieval, which I'll pull up our funny graphic. I thought it was really just cool to see
There it
episode
is,
10,
the
actually,
the
not
funny
9.
graphic.
Oops,
Funny graphic.
that's
Yeah,
scary.
that graphic was hilarious. We all just
One
got slightly
second.
smaller.
Oh,
It was
man.
funny because it was wrong. So
Episode 9, that sounds right.
I just like getting a peek at these little like snippets of the galaxy.
Yeah,
Like we
yeah.
just saw kind of like a slave town, I guess you'd call it. I don't know, a work
Yeah.
camp.
Techno
Like-
Union Mine, a former Techno Union Mine.
Yeah,
Cool
like
little
I think
detail.
that's cool. And I don't know, I take this over the episode you mentioned, Entombed, which maybe the lesser episode of this season, in my opinion. I like an episode like this. We get to see a lot of people, like kids, younger people, and then big old Mako running things there.
Big
And
old Mako.
that just adds a lot to the galaxy for me. Just small bits of lore that we can look back on and be like, remember Mako? Remember that camp?
Remember that guy?
Which it'll
Remember
probably,
Mako?
knowing how it ends, which we'll get to, it'll probably pay off with
Yeah.
our new friend Benny.
Oh yeah,
No.
there's no way they say, "Oh, I owe you one. Call me up if you need something to be stolen." Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Without like following up on that.
Or
Yeah.
like casually blown up with all the Ipsium they have.
Nah, they
Yeah,
can handle it.
Him and Roland Durand are gonna come back.
And the Martez sisters.
And the Martez sisters, a big finale moment.
I'm sorry. You don't make us go through something like Roland Durand and have it all be for nothing. He has to come back.
He
I
got
want
name
my
dropped.
time to like
He did.
He did.
matter.
It's fair. Yeah.
Chad mentioned he's upset, disappointed that it wasn't J-Bo Hood.
Honestly, J-Bo Hood again.
Started talking, I thought it was. but
J-Bo is the character from the from the Blue Shadow virus arc of
Oh,
Clone Wars 1.
right.
Oh yeah.
Where Droll and there's like Droll and he's like the ghost of Droll and J-Bo Hood is the little boy who's reprogrammed all the battle droids.
As a
He's
kid.
on the hammock.
Yeah,
He's,
on the
still
hammock.
there.
He'd be
He's
like
still there.
30.
Would he?
This is like-
It's been like 2 years.
It's like 2 or 3
Yeah,
years
but
later.
No, but
Exactly.
hold on. Oh, sorry. I'm always
Like
He'd be an old man by now.
I
yeah,
mean, like,
no, I
how,
always get it mixed up.
what's like an average
Where
day
are
out
we?
where like he
When-
is? Like, who knows? But
When are we?
Okay, never mind.
And the moons
I
of
got confused,
Iago,
name Jack.
because that's what Anakin says in episode 1, and they like shoehorned an angel into one scene because Anakin says, "Are you an angel?" They're from the moons of Iago, I think. And then, and then there you go. There's J-Bo.
You know
we
who
have
is
to
an
pay
angel?
that off in a cartoon.
Damn right. Ooh.
Guys,
Okay.
yes. Oh,
Donkey
yes.
was
Joke, but,
pivotal
like,
in
I am
this
so happy
episode.
with the amount of
Like,
fan
all right.
service that has been said.
How many times have I said Gonki is the key to all of this? Like since the beginning of the show. I can't believe that Gonki has the sacrifice at the end of season 1. We don't see him for like nearly the entire beginning of this season. I declare that I think he's dead. And then
It
the
made
next week
sense.
he
Yeah,
shows
Next
up
episode.
and just
he's
like
back.
a little like checking in everybody. And then like they like don't do anything about it. And then they suddenly are like, oh my god, we have a Gonk droid.
Dude,
I sh-
they literally.
You should have seen it
Oh my
coming.
God,
Like it's
we
so
forgot
well. It
about
was so
Gonki.
well seated. Like
Like
It was
they
like a
waited until
Seinfeld bit.
even Jamie had lost
It
all
was.
hope
I
to
did
bring him
yes,
back
and
and be like, by the way, Gonki's still a thing.
You don't know how loud I screamed at my TV saying, "No shit!" when they said, "Oh, we forgot about Gonki."
Yeah, Tech
Okay,
goes, that's an ingenious idea.
It's
like, no, it's
hilarious.
How
not.
dare you?
like
How
it-
dare
it
you
is-
is right.
like Omega comes up with the idea, and then Tech at first is just like, oh yeah, sure, we can do that. And Wrecker like dismisses it. Hunter doesn't say anything. He's just there for the ride at this point. When it comes to like the plan is gone, he's just like, okay, we're just rolling with everything. But like just Gonki saved the day. He really did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so happy that Gonki had a moment of like this his time to shine.
Moments.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah.
had multiple moments.
Every
Like,
moment
it's
he's on
great.
screen.
Yeah.
He had a lot of
Like,
lines.
fussed over
He had,
the
like,
I know. I have a
He
question for you
did.
guys about
He was
that. I have a
trying to
question for you guys.
steal the
Is
show.
this the most? I think you guys would know probably more than anyone else in the fandom. Is this like the most tonal variety a Gonk droid has had in Star Wars? I'm like,
yeah.
this Gonk droid was like saying lines. And I don't think I've ever heard a
Yes.
Gonk droid
I'd
go
say
this
so.
far up
Hey,
and down.
hey, what do you think
Yes,
you're doing?
so-
Get out of there. You're not supposed to be
Actually-
flying that.
So yes, actually, I stumbled upon a thread from David W. Collins who does the sound for the Bad Batch and other
It's
Star
Jack's
Wars
guy.
things, right?
I love that guy.
Yeah, and he literally did like a 3-tweet thread about Gonki this episode. So I'll just read it out loud here, right? So he wrote fun sound design tidbits from the Bad Batch season 2, episode 10, Retrieval droids. Existing Gonk sounds weren't varied enough for Gonki, so I, David W. Collins, ended up voicing him for the show by pitching down my voice and running it through a guitar amp. This allows for more humor and expression. I've ended up making and voicing a lot of droids in the show, and I didn't want to reuse sounds too often. But there were like a few that were some reuse sounds. But he also, so moving on to Mako's droids, he wanted Mako's droids to sound like they were saying Mako. And so like he like made that like their own dialect, like that's like the only thing the droids say. So that's that. Yeah. But yeah, he recorded like new sounds for Gonki so that way Gonki could have like
So
lines.
this is the best. This is the most Gonk that's ever gonked.
Yeah. Oh, Gonki's the gonkiest gonk that's ever gonked.
This is
Like,
Did he
peak Gonk.
And this proves it.
He added more humor to the lines.
yeah, so to
Gonki's
allow for
cracking
more
jokes all the
expression.
time.
Yeah.
Dude, Gonki was rip roaring. I mean, oh man.
They all
Gonki-
understood him too, right? Benny was like
Gonki was-
talking back.
Yeah. It's interesting because like most people like can pick up like what the different gonks are. But like he rolls with the Bad Batch. Like Gonky knows how this works. Like he knows, and he knows that they're gonna come for them. And I love how like the moment they found him, Hunter's just like, that's our defective power unit. And I'm just like,
I have to say, they have the audacity to be like, we forgot about Gonky. Then they show up and they're like, hey, he's part of
the next
group.
scene, Wrecker's
And I'm
like, I'll kill this
"Screw
kid
you."
for Gonky.
Yeah,
And it's like,
right.
okay,
You
whoa.
guys forgot about him. How could
Phonies.
you?
like
Yeah, they're hugging him at the end. We missed you. It's like,
Yeah.
we haven't
Wow,
seen you in
Gonky.
10 weeks.
Dude, you don't literally say,
what have you been
we
doing?
forgot about Gonky. right
Like-
before you guys like
Is it-
act like
hold
he's
on.
always been there.
Was that the Bad Batch saying that, or was that the
Yeah.
writers admitting that through the script?
Yeah, there
Yeah,
you
that's
go.
right.
That was like a,
Oh,
might as
crap,
well
we
have
need
just
to-
looked at the camera.
there's just so much
Need to remind
happening.
them that Gonky exists.
I think, and we sort of jumped over it because it's so insignificant. But there's one shot I think it's my favorite of the episode, and it's when like they're trying to build like the speeder together, and there's like
Yeah.
one brief sequence where they're all crammed onto the
Yeah.
speeder, and they
Yes.
only show it for like half a second. I'm like, what is
Yeah.
happening here? I'm like, I want to
It's-
see this.
It's
I
two
know.
shots. It's like the approach, and then it's like zips
They're all
away,
piled
Right.
on.
pans
they're
off.
they're
But
puttering
that's the
along.
best
The thing's
thing.
like
Like a train. Like,
It's
listen,
so
hold on to
good.
the side. They can't kick us off.
It's like
There
when
you
they
go.
throw R2 on the in A New Hope on the back of the speeder. Like
Yeah.
Omega's just on the back.
Yeah,
like-
just tie him down. He's fine.
but, like Tech
Uh.
was driving, obviously, and then I think it was Omega, and then it was Wrecker, and then Hunter was backwards.
Yeah, it looked like a clown car. I was
So
like, I
annoying.
wanna see it.
bolts are like flying off of it as they're going.
I just want to say I always love to see an opportunity to get more variation in like droid or like the Foley kind of stuff, if you will, because like I feel like after Return of the Jedi, like all attempts to make R2 make any different or any astromech make different sounds just stopped.
yeah.
Even like Chewbacca, like I don't think they've really tried to like make any new lines. They've just been using the same old tracks since like 86 or 84,
Not to,
whatever. Return of the Jedi.
83.
Not
And,
to
like,
harp on
83.
Gonky too much more, but isn't the reason that they're called like gonks and plunks and all that is because that's the noise they're making?
Yeah.
It derives
Gonk,
from
gonk,
the gonk would
gonk.
just say gonk, but
Yeah.
Gonky's
Gonk
saying other
says
things.
gonky.
Now he
Gonky is
honks.
like Gonky's
Well, we've-
honking and donking and like he's out there,
Donkin' and
man.
donkin'.
He's bibbing and bobbing.
This
We've
dude
heard-
is beyond a gonk.
We've
The
heard
honky
gonk
tonk
droids
gonk.
say other things. Like I think in one of the original trilogy movies, a gonk is like they always make that like little like they like gonk gonk like
Yeah, I
they
think
always
you're
add
right.
like that little tiny bit after. But Gonky was just flying. He was just saying every swear word in the book. He was just going.
Him and
down.
Chopper definitely have
Oh.
must have
We need
They
them to
traded
do
run
Yeah.
from
that
the
one
same
day.
code. You know what I mean?
Wait,
Yeah.
Didn't they interact?
they
Did they
met?
interact in season? Yeah, in season 1.
they must have,
We
right?
What?
We didn't
Oh my
see
god! Wait,
them.
was Chopper there?
Did
But,
Chopper go
like-
to the moon?
Chopper was there.
Afterwards,
I don't
yeah,
know
like
if Chopper
when
went to the
Didn't
moon
remember
with them,
Chopper
though.
being there.
well, Hera
With
sends a
Hera.
distress signal, and then they all arrive. So like
With
there's
Uncle
that
Gobi.
opportunity.
Oh, right.
But
Maybe
I don't
off
think that
screen.
there's
They
like
could have
that.
picked up some sass from Chop.
I think
that's
that he
canon.
already had
That's why-
sass. He has to
yeah.
put up with these 5 smelly men and
He
like,
can't smell.
girl.
I don't even
But-
have the
And
sense
five
of
He
smelly
knows.
men
smell,
and
but I
one
know.
smelly girl.
he doesn't have a sense of smell, but he knows it smells.
Just 6 smelly,
yeah.
genetically identical people.
I mean, like
Yep.
The Gonk screams in Return of the
Yeah, it
Jedi
goes,
when he gets his
"Oh,
feet
oh,
cracked.
They definitely make a
totally.
noise when you blow them
88,
up in
yeah.
Dark Forces, and I definitely don't know that from personal
Did
experience.
somebody
Did somebody say
No.
Dark
Dark
Forces?
Forces?
Oh, there we go. Check it off. The bingo. Bring back the
Much more
bingo.
naturalistic.
Bingo.
There it is.
Kyle Katarn's like 5 spaces himself.
Hey,
I know.
blame the
He's the
Grand who is
first
just
bingo.
whipping. When you see a Grand, they're whipping thermal detonators, and just a gonk got a little
see
too
a
close, and, they went,
Grand.
"Brrr," and that's their.
Jack, did you to go off thermal detonators in Dark Forces?
Go
in Phantom
on.
Menace, we were talking to the Phantom Menace guys,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Oh, thermal detonators! You know, Luke threatens Jabba with one in Return of the Jedi." And we thought these things were like nuclear bombs. Then we saw Dark Forces, and they're just small explosions.
Yeah, they're,
Oh yeah, they're just
they were
like
like disappointed.
It's literally just a little.
Or Leia,
Oh,
Leia
yeah,
threatens
but
Jabba.
Yeah,
Were they
I was gonna say
describing
Bosch.
like they had made
Not
like
Luke.
there was a level with like a hole, and in the PvP, like if someone fell in the hole, you would just throw a
Yeah.
thermal detonator down there, and just like
Yeah.
delete the
Blow
level.
Yeah.
the kingdom come. Just completely.
So
There's
good.
a level. There's one level where like you just literally, it's just mostly them, and I would get to the end, and I would just start like hyperventilating because I was about to die. Anyway.
So Bad Batch, everybody. Bad
Bad
Batch.
Batch.
Bad Batch.
Quick tangent.
I love how the episode kicks off with Wrecker complaining that he's hot, he's tired, and he's hungry.
Yeah.
Dude, same.
Which- Which
All the
is
time.
it makes complete sense. But like it's funny that the entire episode, like he would like have like actual lines, but he spent most of the episode growling.
He just
Just
whined
whinging.
He did
Like,
multiple
whole
growls.
episode.
He was like multiple growls. It was like a weirdly like intimidation thing for Benny, but also like he was just too bothered to say anything. I just thought it was like an interesting choice that they like were like, oh, let's just make Record like regress completely. Like,
Donkey had
Well,
more personality than
he-
Record in this episode.
Literally.
At that
Everybody
point, he's
regresses
kind of
when
on
they
this.
get hungry.
I mean, the kids are also on that same level, right? So he's kind of empathizing with them in a more literal sense, whether he wants to or not. And they
Yeah.
probably all are, but him most especially with his size, demanding
My-
more food and water.
My favorite was, I think there was a moment when Benny was like reaching for the hologram when they're trying to plan to get in, and Record just like grabs his shoulder and just like stares him down.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Urgh."
He was on like heavy security detail of making sure that like nothing like happened. Like he definitely like that's his like role. Record knows he's the muscle, obviously. So like he's just like if someone is there that's not supposed to be there, he takes care of it.
He's just
He like
angry.
clotheslines Benny like when he
I know. I was gonna say I love
Great
that.
moment.
He runs away, gets clothesline. He tries to run the other way, and Omega's just pointing the bow at him. It was like really badass. So
Yeah.
I love the entire like that sequence. Like if you look at the moment he runs away, Tech and Hunter are just like standing in the background, and like I like paused it in the moment. They're both just like standing back there, like they don't even make a move. They're just like.
I have Omega was so good in this episode. These past
Yeah.
2 episodes, and like I have a
Tech too.
big Tech 2 also in this last
2.
episode, the past 2 episodes. But
Yeah.
Omega, I've decided, for me, is my favorite kid character in Star Wars.
Wow.
Like she's not whiny. Ezra's good after a while, but he's so whiny at first. Anakin's whiny. Who are other kids? J-Bo Hood, whiny.
Yeah,
J-Bo
Hood.
Hood.
J-Bo
Everyone's
Hood.
favorite kid character.
Poor-
Everyone knows
poor
J-Bo
guy.
Hood.
Get him out of
It's
here.
not a pro J-Bo Hood podcast.
Grogu, I guess, is technically a kid, or he's
Grogu
50.
whines all the time.
All he
He's
wants is
not whiny.
candy
He's
and
just a
food.
little stinker.
He
Omega's
doesn't
just-
say a word. All he does is
Omega's
Stinky?
badass
He's
though.
a little
Like,
scamp.
Road of the Hut. That's a pretty rough kid.
Oh,
Yeah,
Stinky.
really.
Oh,
The
Stinky,
original
yeah,
Stinky.
literal
All he
yeah.
does is whine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Omega is definitely like my top like kid character. I mean, like heck, like I love her enough to cosplay her. Like I keep making the joke like my 10th Rebel Legion costume is an actual 10-year-old. So like it's nuts. But like I love her so much, and she has been incredible this entire season. Michelle Ang has absolutely killed it this entire season.
Yeah.
her
definitely.
I always jump ahead and I don't mean to, but her like when she did that leap of faith and pulled the droid off and then was like not worried at all, knew Hunter was gonna grab her.
Yeah,
I was
so
like
good.
sold. She's
That was
amazing.
This is it.
There's a total Batman moment with Hunter too. Just literally like flying up. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I
that's
know.
There's-
I was
There's a
not
couple
expecting
Batman
that.
moments in this episode. If you guys know the Batman animated series. But yeah.
No, I agree. And I think Omega, for me, the reason I like her so much is because she's like just unabashedly like just good. Like she just sees like the good in people, and she's always just confused. Every time
Yeah.
something bad is happening, she's like, what do you mean you have to compete for food? What do you mean you're being exploited? What do you mean this is happening? What do you mean? Like every time something bad happens, she's just confused. It's like, why is bad stuff happening? And she just sees the good in everything and everybody. I really like that.
I know.
It's
She's just so
been-
naive and like good-hearted.
But like in
and-
a good way.
yeah, in a good way.
kids
Because
are
then she
too, they're
learns
just-
immediately, and like she observes all of it and just absorbs all of it, and she's
Yeah.
like, "All right, well, writing that one down."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and she's,
Even her,
she's not
like-
like.
No, go ahead,
Oh.
Jack. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, it's nice to have a kid character who isn't just overpowered. If you get my drift, like she has plenty of flaws and she makes mistakes all the time, but she is also very capable and she's constantly trying to learn and get better. Like as soon as we see her in season 2, she's already like studying ships so that she can become a better part of the team.
Yeah, this was a big episode also of becoming more capable in general because she splits off from the group. This is the first episode where like she willingly or like did so on a mission. Like she split off from the group last week just to like have alone time. But like this week it was literally go with Benny to complete a task, and Hunter and everybody else were just like, yeah, you got to go and do the thing. And like they split ways. And so like that's huge that like she is going out of her way with
They really
everyone
trust
else in
her.
agreement. And yeah, they trust her enough to do her own thing and she'll be okay.
Except she doesn't end up being okay. She gets captured.
Yeah.
Didn't she
She
do
does
that
get
with
captured.
Choo-Choo though?
But like it wasn't really her fault because
No.
like
She got betrayed. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
Danny betrayed.
And Jack just mentioned that I think that's what you said. She went off with Senator Chuchi.
Yeah, she's part of that
also.
undercover op.
So she-
It's
she
like,
went
so
off
she
with
should
that,
have known
yeah.
better to like disguise herself. That's why I was thinking that it was funny that she even made that mistake, because I was like,
right.
yeah, she should have grabbed the poncho again.
you know, to be
Yeah.
incognito.
The Senator
Baseball
Chuchi thing
cap,
was like a different split off. I like keep forgetting that was like an actual like mission. Like that was her
Yeah.
mission. That was more so like they didn't want
Getting a
her
tour
to
of the
be
Senate.
where
Yeah, they weren't
were.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
This was
It's more like
she-
babysitting.
Yeah,
quote,
this was
unquote.
more she had to go do the main part of the mission. They had to get
Yeah.
the gate open and you need to go do this thing, but we can't go because we're a bunch of like dudes that are like tall.
Smelly
and
dudes.
You need to go
Yeah,
with these
smelly
like
dudes.
kids.
They'll smell
Bunch
us
of
a mile
smelly
away.
dudes. You gotta pretend to be like a smelly adolescent dude and like go with them.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed, and I don't know if it's obvious or not, but like you really notice all of the Bad Batch like in Omega's actions. Like she's taken lead like Hunter. When she was on the data pad this episode, it reminded me a lot of Tech. Like she's talking like Tech, looking at the thing like there really is Ipsium here. Did you know this?
Yeah.
You know, she's kind of
Yeah.
fearless like Wrecker, maybe not of heights, because Wrecker doesn't like heights, and she
Yeah,
jumped
she's got-
off the thing.
She's got
Like-
5 dads, and she's got part of a little bit of all of them in her.
Yeah, exactly. Like I
Yeah,
think that's so
She's gonna
cool.
lose an arm like Echo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't the part you're supposed to take.
will we ever see Echo's other arms?
No.
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 No,
The go-go
I
gadget
don't.
arm.
I don't
Never.
know. I don't know why
I think-
that happened.
I think the answer is never, because he's changed outfits already. It's like they put that out with a whole different Echo.
It's still
Yeah.
nuts that like that was in all of the early concepts or whatever that they sent to make figures where they're like, oh, Echo's gonna have this like extra attachment, but like
I know, it went all the way up to the hot toy. Like the amount of money that
yeah.
companies had
Yeah.
to spend, all that extra plastic of like, here's these extra arms. It's like,
And like they even like revise like the hot toys too, like because they do like
Yeah.
their like initial ones, and it's just like whatever.
And it's like, why not give him like a mechanical arm? You really don't think Star Wars tech could, you could have an arm that actually like grabs things and also has like a
Scomp
whatever it's
link,
called,
yeah.
You
scomp
have
link in like the wrist or something. We've
He
seen it
has-
with
Scott.
droids.
yeah,
Or have
Jessica's
perfect
got that
cybernetic
sweet like
arms by then.
comes out right there.
literally one of his own brothers, his squad mate, is a mechanical genius who makes stuff for fun, just tinkering around, and he couldn't make Echo an arm.
This
I
guy's
am-
pressing
I'm
buttons
just
with this
baffled.
little nub. What's
I am
what's
just-
going on?
Baffled, like still to date.
What's the
that,
deal
like,
with his nub?
What's
there
the
it is.
deal?
What?
What's the deal with Mako, by the way? Speaking of robot arms.
I like
dude,
his arm. Yeah.
I love the arm, especially because this is hard to explain. But the way it's designed, it's too long for his like.
Yeah, it's
it's
too
too
long.
long to be his forearm. So it almost looks like in live action. You know how like when they cut people's arms off and then they give them like a prosthetic, but you know that it's like over their
Yeah.
actual arm, so it's always
Yeah.
just a bit too long. It looks
Yeah.
just like that. So it looks like he's like he was a Zygerian with 2 arms playing a 1-armed guy. So they put on like the thing for him. It just looks
You know
off.
how
and
hard
but
it
it's
is to
good.
find a Zygerian with 1 arm who
It's-
fits the role.
you know.
Casting is tough. Okay.
You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
But what's a
Speaking
little
of-
like wonky about like Mako and like this entire like mine that I keep thinking about is that like it was an old Techno Union mine, and like this episode obviously Echo wasn't with them, but Echo's original prosthetics were all Techno Union technology. So like is like Mako's arm also Techno Union? Like imagine just like that. I just the thought crossed my mind.
He went down
going
down
on
the
with that?
chasm with the arm, so he can't even get
It's
it
true.
out
Never
right
know.
now. That's so
Yeah.
disappointing.
So
I do miss Echo though. I'm missing him more.
I
and
miss
more.
him so
I do
much.
too. Every
It's-
time
Yeah.
there's only
Yeah, that's
4 of
struggling.
them, I like do like 4 counts in my head where I'm like, wait a
Yeah, I'm
minute.
like who's missing?
I'm like,
something's not
wait,
right.
it's Echo.
That doesn't work.
They're not complete. They don't feel
I-
complete anymore.
Because this has really been Echo. It's always Omega's show, but it's obviously this has been more Tech and Echo's like season for development. As you know, last season we got a lot of Wrecker and Hunter. This season, like Tech from the very start has been killing it. And last week into this week, like my gosh, I totally I fell in love with Tech more so than I liked the character, but the moment when I know this is last week, but when he just jumps in after Omega without like a second thought, I was like, oh my gosh,
I love
like,
that.
So
I
good.
like this guy. Oh my gosh, but I don't know. I'm missing the other half though. Echo's off now.
I
He would have
know.
been great on this mission.
Yeah.
Hopefully we see him again soon with
Sad.
Rex, whatever they're up to, doing missions or something. But they're clearly doing something a bit more important than whatever the batch is doing on getting the Ipsium on this crazy planet. But
Getting some slop from
Oh.
Yes,
freeing
so-
the slop.
so the reason there's a few reasons we've had Levi on because we like having him on our show and everything. But as soon as he saw this episode, he was like, "What'd you think of the slop closet?" What? So the closet where Mako is just chilling in with all the food and
It's
eating
a
it.
comical amount of food. It's like
We've called
it's
it the slop
slop.
closet.
There's
Oh
we
my
got a
God.
banner. Slop
The
closet.
lower banner. Gotta love it.
Oh,
Now that's a funny
Chiron.
banner.
He's in there just eating away.
So funny.
This is all I could think of. I personally requested this gift for
Oh,
tonight.
that's good.
It's
That's
Oh
perfect.
my
so
god,
good.
he was just
Oops.
pounding them down.
Just
Good
pounding
Lord.
down that stew. That
What was in there? Like some sausages,
I know,
like
like, behind
Everything.
him, it was like everything, and then like
Ronto
the,
wraps.
the camera pulls out a little bit, and he pulls like a kebab from his other hand, and like starts like hamming down the kebab right before it cuts. I'm like,
Pretty
where did that
much.
come from?
They
Like, he's
literally
not
took
even-
every single food they've ever animated and were just like
Ugh.
and just like flung it in there as like set dressing.
Dude, this was literally Oliver. This was Oliver Twist. You had the fat guy with a bunch of like kids, and he's eating all the food, and they're all hungry, and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
give me more soup."
I just love that the droid walked in, made one noise, and he went, "Go away!" And he just kept slopping.
Not now,
He
eating.
kept going.
You're wrecking the mood. I'm busy.
Yeah, literally. He's like, "I'll
I'm
do it
busy.
when I'm good and ready."
Not now.
I love the noises he makes too. Like,
It's like
And the music was like slightly jovial too, and it was like, "Man, what's going on?"
I saw Maka
Living
in the
life.
closet with the snacks, and he was eating the snacks, and one of the snacks looked at me. Well, the snacks looked at you.
oh my god.
All the snacks looked at him.
Oh,
But yeah, he's in there. He's in there hoarding the food, and all these kids. Are they all kids? Are they confirmed all kids?
yeah.
They're all
Think
pretty
so.
young.
Yeah, they're young.
They don't know that he's hoarding this food from them.
No.
He's
That's the whole point.
massive, and he has like, food all over his face when he walks out.
No, yeah,
Like,
like no
uh,
Cheeto crumbs or nothing on him or anything. Like,
I mean,
Yeah.
like they're all really malnourished, living off of one bowl of broth between like all of them. So
And like he's a Zygerian, right? Like we're 100% on that.
I don't
know.
Zygerians are
100%
all
on
like
that.
skinny and not.
I don't think
I
we're
don't think
100 percent on.
I don't
that.
think we're 100%. I sort of came in hot, being like, "That's a Zygerian," but then upon further reflection,
I just ran with you.
he,
no-
you know
he's-
what?
I think he's an armadillo man. That's the official. That's the official species name.
He kind
Alright,
of
I'm
looks
looking
like
up the Wikipedia page.
There's no.
like he
species
kind of
on
looks like the
Wikipedia.
orc.
He's there.
He looks like the white orc with like the hook hand.
Damn.
That's what's
Yeah, he
his name?
does.
Morgoth, not Morgoth. Is
I
it
don't remember
Morgoth?
From
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 No,
The Hobbit,
Morgoth's
right?
from Elden
Zog?
Ring.
Hobbit, yeah.
Azog.
Oh, Azog.
Yeah.
Azog.
Azog.
Yeah,
No, oh,
He
you're talking
kinda
about
looks-
the one from The Hobbit.
Yeah,
that's
he looks
Azog. Yeah,
the,
yeah,
like,
not
orc
not the
with
Harvey
hook
Weinstein
hand.
one.
the Harvey.
And he also kind of has a hook hand. So wow.
Chad, help me out. What's the name of the one? What's
He-
the name of the one from Lord of the Rings? The commander of the orcs in Lord of the Rings who gets squashed.
His
The one that
name's
says
Squash.
"Meat's back on the menu, boys."
No,
No,
that was-
that's in Two
Meat's
Towers.
back on the-
oh my
I think
God, this is
Mako
killing me.
also says
Well,
that
I
in
got
this.
I had
to himself.
yeah, I sort of just figured it was a Zygerian because within the context of Bad Batch, we had already had a Zygerian element early on
Yeah.
in the season, or early in the previous season, where like we established them as Gothmog. That's a great name.
Gothmog. That's his name. I
Gothmog.
said Morgoth, but it's Gothmog.
Gothmog,
Stupid me.
Azog.
Yeah,
Mako.
silly you.
Stupid me.
Gothmog. That's awesome.
Gothmog.
Yeah.
Dude, Gothmog's great.
It would have made sense if he was a Zagarian because we've seen them before and in the show and like
It's just
the
the
whole
ears.
setup.
His ears are very Zygerian.
Yeah, the whole setup of like this mine was that everyone was a slave and they didn't know it. They're being paid, but
So that would have
barely.
been cool.
So
If he is,
Barely.
hopefully
Gotta
he is a
respect Chad
Zygerian.
with
so-
the orc.
They all had to
knowledge.
share a
Chat.
bowl of broth.
No,
Oh, good luck.
Chad's like the resident guy. He knows everything about Lord of the Rings.
Chad
how
knows
good
it
luck.
all in that. But yeah, Mako, terrible person. Matt, did you? I know you're a very big Temple of Doom fan. Did you get Temple of Doom
I
vibes from
definitely got
this?
Temple of Doom
Yeah.
vibes. I
Mm.
love little kids killing their slave masters. Best thing. Just
Well,
like
big-
so
big
much
Rickety
fun.
Under
Bridge.
lava
Rickety
Perfect.
Bridge.
Rickety Bridge, throwing them off.
and everything.
All the kids just being like, "Hey."
So we've
That's
had a
what
lot
they
of
say in-
Indiana
in Temple of
Jones
Doom.
vibes this season.
And Entombed was full indie as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this and that episode.
Well,
Man,
Indiana
am I finally
Jones.
going to get my Star Wars treasure hunting show? That's what I really want.
It was this.
Ooh.
It was.
It-
It's
it-
been
it
this.
was
this
this.
stuff.
Yeah, you've been watching it.
It's
Yeah.
been
They
this
just
and
they
Dr.
never get the
Aphra.
treasure.
You're never getting more than that.
It turned
We,
into it so gradually, I didn't even notice.
Side on Ithano Pirate Show when?
When?
Hey, Treasure Planet. What did we call our thing? Not Treasure Planet.
What Treasure Planet exists already?
Treasure Planet
City?
is real.
It was
Swoop
based
City?
on Treasure Planet. Swoop City. Yeah.
Swoop
Swoop
City.
City?
That's what
That
I'm
is
talking
not
about.
the Side on Ithano series, but that's something completely
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
Sidon could be in Swoop City though.
He could. Yeah.
He is in
Yeah.
my mind.
Sure.
One day Swoop City will get made, and all these podcasts will be put in like the behind the scenes documentary in the beginning.
Oh
Like look
my
at
God.
look how long ago, look what they're talking about.
For
Oh, God.
yeah, I don't know if Matt and Jack know what we're talking about. But,
I do. I know what you're
oh,
talking
you do.
about.
Okay.
No, I'll admit, I'm just playing along.
One time we had Levi on one time, and we made like
Years
a
ago.
movie. Was it years ago?
At this point, it was well
It might
over a
be.
year ago.
It was probably
Was it a
2021.
make a movie podcast
Yeah.
episode?
Yeah, and
It
we
was
somehow
Make a
came up
Movie.
with
Yeah.
our friend Shelby came on as well. Matt wasn't here.
Yeah.
And we came up with a movie called Swoop City that was kind of like Treasure Planet, but Star Wars. And that's all I remember. Edgar
my
Wright
head,
was the director.
It's not like Treasure
Like that.
Planet at all.
It
I don't know
wasn't
why
like
AJ's
Treasure
saying-
Planet
I
at
don't know
all.
why AJ's
Let's
saying
move
that.
on.
Well, now
was
I
like
need
a-
it to be.
Let's move on.
Let's make a new
Um,
movie.
No.
I don't know.
Mako's movie.
Fights an orc named Gothmog.
Mako movie.
Mako movie.
Mako the movie.
Mako,
Yeah.
man.
It's a straight to
Oh man.
straight to
Guys,
HoloNet, straight
Mako
to
the
HoloNet
motion
special.
picture.
So
this is too good.
what have we
Uh,
missed so far in this episode?
I love when-
Hunter
when
going
they-
down the stack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was
I-
tense.
Mission Impossible style.
Yeah.
Yes, I love like
I was
all of
sweating.
like the lead up to that. Like Benny the entire time is terrified of everything. He's just like, we can't do this. We're gonna get caught. You guys are insane. We can't do it this way. And like I love how it happens. Just it's all down to a science because like the batch when they're on, they know what to do and like it made complete sense. And just Hunter just going over the edge, guys.
That was awesome. Like watching him like walk down the wall. That's
Yeah.
always
He was all
badass.
over the place in this. Spider-Man style, James Bond style.
Reminds me of
Speaking of
Everything or
Spider-Man.
Nothing.
Yes,
you-
I was going to
reminds
say
me
the
of Over
same.
the Hedge.
The first level of Everything or Nothing. Yeah,
That is
where you're just
true.
like going down while
Everything
everything's
or
That is on
exploding.
my bingo card.
You
Right,
know how
so-
that's burned into my brain because we've played that 60 trillion
20 times.
times trying to
Oh,
get
I
down
ha-
that
I have
damn
that-
building.
I have the physical copy on my bookshelf. It's a classic in the.
That is
Old
classic.
Bond
Yeah,
games.
we've got one kicking around. Yeah, it
We
was like
call
James
it.
Bond. And
Oh
then
yeah,
what, was
but
that, what was that droid doing? Like
It was like just like checking the levels.
Doing some
I
level,
guess.
yeah, level check, man.
he was
Yeah.
chilling.
he wasn't
levels-
really stressed about the impending exhaust.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man, it's
he was
hot in
not
here.
timing
It
it
melted
well.
him
Not
pretty
timing
quick,
it
right?
at
It probably
all.
knew. It was
Did-
probably like I don't know.
Maybe
Five
maybe had
seconds
perfectly
perfect
till
timing.
timed.
It's didn't get a
Yeah,
chance
it's a
to do
droid.
Yeah, I guess.
But he got
Droid.
wrecked.
I did
Uh,
like
J-
though in
Yeah,
classic
he
Star
did
Wars
get hit.
fashion how the characters will like just use their bare hands and slide down this extremely long rope
Ugh.
like Benny like this kid who has no like he just uses raw hands and went down this whole smokestack.
You don't need skin. You don't need
Like,
skin on your
oof.
palms. You don't need it.
No, not at
How
all.
do we feel about Drake? Character,
He came
He's a
around.
cool character.
I thought he was going to screw them over at the end, but
Yeah.
I'm glad he didn't.
I like all the tattoos on these characters.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
pretty unique.
Hmm.
I have the little little theory that is like they're all like whatever their status things, but I think it's their variation of like a slave brand. But they don't necessarily know it. There's like,
They're all
oh, it's like
similar.
it's our like gang, and but like no, it's Mako's like
Bar
Looks
I don't
like
know, maybe.
something I never noticed until my recent replay in Fallen Order. I never noticed Cal had a tattoo, and it's literally his like guild designation or something like on his arm.
yeah,
Trappers Guild, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like
Hmm.
pretty cool.
kind of stuff. Just I guess you just do that.
Star Wars. It happens.
Speaking of
Yeah.
scars, has Bo-Katan always had the scar on her forehead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has, yeah.
I
It was just,
didn't notice it in last season of season 2 of Mando, and I noticed it in the new promo posters, and I was like, but I think I remember it in Rebels also. So don't mind. me.
it was just super faded in
Right. Her
in,
wig also got a lot.
I was
better.
gonna say
Yeah.
the most
Yeah.
noticeable thing in season 2 was her hair. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
Has Han Solo always had that scar on his chin?
So actually, he was on like this circus train, and he fell
Yeah.
into like there was like a lion.
There was a
and
lion
tried
and
to
he
lift
whipped
himself.
ooh,
Yeah.
He got
For some reason, he was in Utah in 1917. It was, I don't know.
1912.
Time
Well, it's
traveler.
12. Okay.
It was 12.
Oh, I'm sorry.
wow.
Wow.
Good times.
Then he
Yeah,
gets a
lots
good
to
nice
take.
A
hat.
little bit of Last Crusade comedy for everybody.
But it doesn't mean
30,
you have to
34
like it.
minutes in.
It's the only indie
Oh,
film we
yeah.
haven't covered, so
It is. It's true.
It's my favorite one.
me too.
You
Probably
You know, it
not.
used to be, and then I rewatched Temple of Doom. Then Temple of Doom became my favorite one again.
Ooh, bold choice.
Temple
Bold
of Doom is
choice.
my favorite
I
Indiana
agree.
Jones movie, and I will explain it to you in depth why it's my favorite
Oh,
one.
boy, here
And
we
I'm
go.
Sorry that it's really
Right now?
racist, but everything else I really like about it.
And he's
No,
gonna do
I'm
it
not gonna-
right
I'm
now.
not gonna. No, I'm not going to talk
Right.
about it right now. I'm
There's a
saying
certain
if you ask
character that
me,
just brings the whole picture down for me. That's
I
what
will
I'll
sit
say.
you down for 45
But,
minutes to talk to you all about Temple of Doom.
Jack,
I
did you
loved
have...
it-
Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna get us back on track. I loved in this episode how when they find the ship, it's in complete like disarray. Like it's up on like wires and like everything is just in pieces everywhere, and they're all just like, let's get to work, and like they just go for it, and like they're able to fix it, and it's funny, but it definitely is like a noticeable like everyone is kind of like tense. Because things aren't like done like correctly, because like Echo is always like a big part of fixing the ship, and so like I feel like there's like a little bit of like disconnect there. But I also love like the one scene in which like they're all talking to each other all on their comm links at like opposite ends of like the hangar.
That is nice.
I like that was
Absolutely.
I was reminded of like the Empire Strikes Back, you know, like Han and Chewie
Yeah.
trying to futz over the Falcon with the hyperdrive, and I was like, man, they really got through that hyperdrive fix, like that like reinstalling it pretty quick. So
It's so good.
I know what Han and Chewie were doing wasn't necessarily the same, like a repair versus a reinstall, but like are Han and Chewie maybe a little bad at like maintenance?
Yes. This goes there. That goes
That
there.
one goes there.
Oh my god.
And when they're welding later and they just look
Can-
up.
Yeah.
Can I
couple
just
of
say,
Dumbos.
Hunter just completely. Oh my god. The two kids walk in, and Wrecker and Tech are like, "Oh, Mako sent
Mako
us,"
sent us.
and
And
they're
the
like,
one's like,
Mako sent us.
and they're like, "Okay, fine." They look like they accept it. They look like they turn around, and then Hunter just starts like running towards them. He's like, "Everybody,
he literally
calm."
jumps
Yeah.
down. He
I'm like,
flies in. Yeah.
Hunter,
With his
dude,
helmet
chill
on.
out.
Dude, we
Like,
had this.
they fell for it. You didn't have to do that.
He's kind of a Dumbo sometimes, okay?
He
He's
he
a
had to
Dumbo,
feel
yeah.
needed, okay, and like that's just the only
This is
thing
the
he
guy
knows
that
how
wore
to
a
do.
hat
He's a hammer. They're
As a
nails.
disguise.
I did like the way he
Healthy hammer.
he chased the kids. Like he ran to the like they was like, oh my god, this guy's just like coming after us. And he
Yeah,
runs to the
right?
ladder and like he does the whole like special agent like fall down the ladder thing like after these kids. I'm like, how? What is happening? Like a lot of like potential Bad Batch versus Child in this episode that I found amusing.
Hunter, you gonna beat up those kids? What's going on?
He was prepared. He was prepared to do what he
Okay.
had to do.
I'll stab a child.
Yeah. Don't think he won't.
Hunter had like a energy drink before this episode or something. He was like
He did.
zipping,
He was
zipping everywhere.
wound up.
The moment he
Let's get
hit
big
like
Kronk vibes.
Yeah.
There you go.
the moment he hit like the whole like settlement, he was off and running. Like he was ready. All systems go.
He was
I
in
also
his
just
element.
want to take it back to the speeder thing earlier. Where they had to go was 100 kilometers away, so they were on that bike for like 60
They
miles.
took breaks.
We only got one
Hold
clip
on.
of it.
Oh my god.
I need a
Uh,
screen. I need a screen. I need to see it. I need to see
It's
it
so
again.
hard to get. Like when I was watching,
I
I was
couldn't
like,
find
Because like
it.
who's sitting where, right? Like
I
that's
told
the
you, Tech
important
is
question.
driving, and
Tech's
then
driving.
it's Omega, and then it's Wrecker. Omega
Yeah.
is probably
got
sitting
four
on
myself.
Wrecker, and then Hunter is sitting backwards.
I imagine
Imagine if they had
Omega
Echo.
on,
They'd
like,
have been
on,
screwed.
on Tech's lap, just like like hunched over the handlebars or something.
She
and
might be
then,
there
like,
actually.
here, I'm
No,
doing.
no.
I'm
It's just
gonna do an
Wrecker's gonna throw off your weight. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's gonna be
This is
very
important.
unbalanced.
What a
We
mess.
have to get this
Mhm.
right.
It
We're
is
taking
at
this one really seriously.
about 5 minutes and 20 seconds into the episode,
Okay.
and I'm
Exactly.
doing it's like such a close up. They're trying to hide it, so it looks like. Oh my
'Cause
god,
they-
this is crazy.
They know what they've done.
This is-
They
this
know
is-
what
this
they're
is nuts.
implying. They
So,
couldn't
yeah,
write in a second
Tech-
speeder that they could
Yeah,
pull
so
up.
Tech is driving. Omega is like right behind him, like clutching his waist. Then it's Wrecker like splayed out across the top, holding like behind him, holding Hunter, who is sitting back to back with him on the back of the.
Oh,
Wow.
my Lord.
Oh, that's what a
And,
Clown
like,
car.
and you can only see it for literally 1 second. And,
What a
and
pose, what a
the speeder's
formation.
like bouncing too.
Yeah.
I don't know why they hate it from us. It's going like. I would encourage everyone to go to your Disney Plus.
We need to find that clip
and
and put like the Nymos music over it.
It is.
Yes. We'll have to pull that later.
But have it like fade in as they like fly, like like
proximity
so it gets
chat.
louder. And then,
I don't think I didn't share it because I don't. Can you share? Does Disney Plus black out when you share on StreamYard?
I think so. Yeah.
I'm not sure, but
We'll try
probably.
another time.
So, Levi, what are your thoughts about the lack of Crosshair in this whole show, but this season?
Yeah, I've had this discussion a lot with people who, it especially came up around Cody, not necessarily Crosshair, but when people watch the trailers, I mean, we were all there at Celebration. Like the trailer for some people that we saw was like, it seemed like Cody and Crosshair are going to be a big part of this.
Yeah.
And then when it was just everything seemed to contain to that one episode, I've talked to some people who've been pretty disappointed. But with the way it's executed, and the story is clearly, as I said before, about all of the clones, the way that it's been so far, I don't know. Like, I have faith that we'll get more Crosshair in the season. I'm not worried. I'm not worried about that. And like the Cody leaving the way he did, and the impact it had on Crosshair, like that episode, this was Solitary Clone, like just as its own. Honestly, it holds up so well, and it gets across all of the themes you need for every single character, like clone on the Imperial side still, for these 10 episodes. Like I don't need, like we could have done like another mission with Crosshair where he's, I don't know, like if you're writing the show and when you're spending time with Crosshair, something needs to be accomplished for the character. And if it was like a slower and slower build of like I don't know if it would be a good use of episode time, and we have to spend time developing the batch. Like I get where mentally he's at. Like everything, it's just like Callus, like looping in the day, CT, like we come back to the Rampart's office and he's just like depressed and it like clearly, and I get that. And so I think the next time we see him, it has to be another like, and here's the further development of the character. It won't just be, and here's Imperial Crosshair on a mission. Because I don't think people want that. I don't think I need that for the story.
Yeah.
So far I'm hesitant because they have to execute well on it. But I think with the way they're tracking so far, I think it could still work out because we still have 6 episodes left. So all the next 6 could have Crosshair in them, and then I feel like overall then you're at 7 of 16. That's not so bad. That's almost half of the whole show. So I don't know. I have faith.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And did you compare it to Callus there? For a second?
Yeah, like Callus,
that's
you didn't get Callus in every single episode of Rebels, but
he was very
turn,
impactful when you saw him.
It was very impactful. His turn to the rebellion, it was very, I don't know.
Yeah,
Callus was a lot more satisfying when he did turn because we never expected him to. Like Crosshair was part of the Bad Batch, and we really want him to come back. So like, it'll be a different kind of satisfying if and when he does, and it is still the same kind of like. It's definitely not clear if he will.
I think the difference here is that Crosshair story is it's embodying all of the clones that are still serving the Empire, whereas Callus was very much that man, that character, and obviously what he represented is still something. But with the clones, where they're all genetically identical and going through the exact same thing, it's a little more like this is a super broad story. And I think we continued that story a little bit with the Rio Chuchi arc because they were talking about that bill passing in Solitary Clone, like that's what they were talking about when Crosshair was like sitting alone at the table. So I think the thread there, it's just, I don't know. I still have faith. I still think
and I think like
I'm waiting desperately for them.
The reason we haven't seen him since that moment was kind of the pivotal moment. I mean, you could say the finale of last season was the pivotal moment, but this was really, you could see Crosshair's next move is going to be him starting to be redeemed. So we're probably waiting for that moment later this season or whenever. That's the next time we'll see him probably. So
once he's done serving that perspective, I'm sure that'll be the moment that he decides, all right, well, I have nowhere else to go. Hey, Bad Batch.
Well, also, I mean, increasingly the Bad Batch is becoming more of and I don't hate this personally. But I know some people, and I think Jamie is a good perspective because you love the characters of the Batch so much, but the show is also serving as sort of the Dark Times anthology show where we are very much there are episodes without the Batch. Like last season, we had episodes on Ryloth with Hera that don't really have anything to do with the plot of the Batch, but we're getting these pictures of the overall galaxy. And in an episode like this, like Retrieval, where we get like the former Techno Union mine, and it adds like the conversation that Omega has with Tech at the end about, are like they're really just, it's not just the Empire. They're just kind of crappy people out there in the galaxy. And Tech's like, yeah, they're good people too, though, like us. But you also get like a Senate arc, like Rio Chuchi, that Rio Chuchi episode. That was just a Clone Wars episode. I mean, that was just straight up a Clone Wars episode. I don't hate it, but same with Crosshair, where like it's these anthologies of this dark time, and the show also has to do that for the whole era.
Yeah. And I think we got that from the very start. Putting Kanan in the first episode was a controversial decision, but it definitely was a calculated one. It definitely was there to kind of bridge the gap between Clone Wars and Rebels, and kind of show what's going on between those shows.
Yeah, you literally get Kanan, Hera, Gregor, and Rex all in that season 1. So that's like,
and now you get Bail.
Connecting.
Yeah,
and
Bail,
sisters,
Cody.
Yeah.
It's like,
To go back about the Crosshair thing, I think that one of the biggest parts, Jack mentioned it, that like Crosshair is part of the Bad Batch, and like that's why it's so important that like I wish that they were spending more time like going back to like back to his story. But again, to agree with Levi as well, though, that he is just going through the motions day in, day out, and so it's not something we need to see, because it's clear that like this has been what his entire routine has been for who knows how long. And then additionally from there, like after, I love the idea that the Senate arc with Senator Chuchi is like, that's the continuation of the Crosshair story, and like that main story of like the clones being deactivated bill, like that entire like situation. I love how like that concept that's all the same story, and it makes sense as well for like an overreaching thing. One other big thing about like Crosshair as well, in the episodes in the Clone Wars when the Bad Batch first showed up, Crosshair immediately like says and like gives off the vibes that like the Bad Batch are superior to regular soldiers. And so it would be huge for him development wise if he is one of the main catalysts in the broader helping the clones that are still in service to the Empire, because it's so much for him to overcome that of like seeing himself as the same as the regs, because that was his big thing early on, was like he didn't see himself as a reg. He's even part of the Bad Batch. He's better than them. And so I think that'll be really important for him if he eventually does somehow contribute to that broader, whatever it might be.
Even this season, he's kind of defensive over that, because Cody's like,
Cody knocks some sense into him. Yeah, because Cody says, "What are you doing?" Like
Cody says, like, "Oh, the Batch has, what's the word? Like,
they went AWOL.
They've gone AWOL. I can't think of the word there. But and then Crosshair is like, well, the regs have too. A lot of regs have too. So he's like pretty defensive over that still. But yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do love the slop closet.
Can we get the slop closet Chiron for just 1 second? The scrolling, just for solidarity.
I'll play all the stops.
There it is. There it is. Slop closet.
Hey,
Slop closet.
That's what I'm talking about.
He's still going.
But yeah, quick Crosshair, discussion there. But back to this episode, which, we already know Mako falls off the rickety bridge, Temple of Doom style.
Yep.
You know what they said this episode? Wrecker says to Mako, because they have like the guns trained on him, and Mako's just like, "Oh, don't fire your blasters here," and they're like, "We don't miss." You know who doesn't miss? Their sniper, who they have like left behind and just forgotten about.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, they offered him a place on their ship, and he said no.
He turned him
To be
down.
fair,
I want to be a fascist.
What if in the beginning of this episode, instead of Omega saying, "We forgot about Gonki," what if she literally
Forgot
was
about
like,
Crosshair.
"We forgot about Crosshair"?
and he's still sitting there on Camino, like,
Camino.
hello.
And like,
And
what
even,
if that was the
uh,
first
took me
time we
out
saw
4
him this
weeks
entire
ago.
season? That would have been.
Yep,
Oh my
that's
God.
it.
That's the
That's
show.
it. That's what we should have done.
I wanted to point out that Benny was voiced by, and Jack mentioned this to me earlier,
Yuri Lowenthal.
Yuri
Yes.
Lowenthal, who is
Oh,
boy.
wow.
video game Spider-Man. That's what I know him as. I don't know what else.
Recognize
He's
that
Spider-Man.
scamp anywhere.
Professional middle-aged man who consistently plays children. That's
He's just
Yeah.
really good at playing a snarky teenager. I don't know what to tell you.
It's true. No, it's
Yeah.
true. He played,
But
I think,
Benny-
multiple characters in this episode.
Benny was
Sometimes-
a cool character.
I like Benny. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
had a full beginning, middle, and an end. He was in it for himself, just trying to like, be all
I do hope we
scrappy,
see
and
him
then
again.
he gets like,
Yeah,
I mean, it's
I
left
think we'll see
wide
him
open.
again.
It's left as wide open as the whole Roland Duran
I'm telling
situation.
you.
Okay?
He does something selfish for himself. He is not rewarded for it. He becomes disappointed. He sees how the Bad Batch work for themselves and own their own business, if you will. And when when shown the light, if you will, and shown that, hey, the Epsilon is not degrading, and by the way, your boss has been hoarding all this food, he knows to turn the tables on him. And
But where was he
you know.
hoarding the food? Where did he hide the
In
food? I don't know.
the slop closet.
the slop closet.
I will say,
Ow.
I liked at the end you heard Drake go like, Benny, like chow time, and like I was like
Chow
imagining like, they
time.
liberated the closet, like the closet has been free.
oh no,
Ooh, guys, ration that a little bit. That's
Guys.
not, you don't want to eat that all at once.
That is the second time the phrase "chow time" has appeared in the Bad Batch.
who's keeping
It's a
count of
conspiracy.
that?
Who's counting?
I'm,
Do
I'm
we have a
keeping
chow time count?
What's the first one?
The first one
Kashyyyk?
was in episode 2 when like they're going to Seleucami and like Omega and Wrecker are like whatever searching the ship and Hunter's handing out rations and he says to Omega, "Here, chow time." Well,
Chow
it's just
time.
it's such a weird like line, right? And so it's just so bizarre to me that it's been in the
Bachelor
show
chow.
twice. It's weird that it happened twice.
I don't know if it is, but I like that. I'm there for it.
I'd like to think the
Chow time.
writers are like, oh, we got to have that in each
Yeah,
season.
well, this we got to
Yeah,
make the
like-
reference. The chow
I'm-
time.
For anybody who's paying attention out there,
Yeah,
Keep
next
an
next
ear out
next,
for
next
chow time.
celebration, Jennifer Corbett's on stage. She's like, "So we don't know if you guys noticed, but this season we're gonna have chow time again."
and the whole
and this
crowd
banner goes
just
up.
goes ballistic.
No,
It just goes
everyone's gonna be
nuts.
silent, and I'm just gonna like pop up out of like the
Yeah.
nosebleed section and just like start like tearing like the ceiling tiles off. I'll be so
Standing
excited.
ovation.
Chow time.
Oh. Well, okay. What was this? I was gonna say this earlier, but I forgot what it was. What's the stew that she's singing? That she's selling? Is it Rancor? No, that's Rancor skin jacket. But
Oh,
she's
in the
like,
game,
Dewback.
what is
Yeah.
she selling? Dewback
Dewback.
stew.
Dewback.
eh?
Dewback
Dewback stew.
stew.
That's it. Dewback stew. Dewback
There might have been
stew.
Dewbacks
That's
on this
probably what
planet,
he's
who knows?
slurping down.
Yeah, so do
That
you think
slop.
Drake just imagine the look on their faces when they like open the slop closet?
I know.
It was
it's like
like-
the golden shine like coming out of it. It's like the Pulp
Dude,
Fiction
they-
They
briefcase.
Yeah.
sing the, they
Are
sing
we
the Oliver
happy?
song.
Oh, we're happy.
It was like Indy finding the Grail.
They sing the
Yeah.
song from Oliver, dude. Food, glorious
Food,
food. I'm
glorious
telling you,
food.
it's a bunch of orphans singing about food.
It's perfect.
I have to say, it's nice that Omega keeps making friends her age,
She makes
Yeah.
friends
Or-
everywhere she goes.
but she keeps making kid friends. We have a lot of kid friends in this
Yeah,
show,
which is
good.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Like J-Bo.
Like J-Bo, just like
She's
J-Bo.
not friends with J-Bo.
She
I don't
will
think we're
be.
ever gonna see him
This
again.
is
She
the
would be.
most J-Bo has been referenced like ever in the
Ever.
last 10 years.
Yeah.
Easily.
Well,
There's,
he's
there's
third
no
on
way
the
any,
list,
there's
though.
nowhere anywhere else on earth someone's been talking about J-Bo Hood this much.
Dave Filoni and Lucasfilm, if you're
Yeah,
listening.
we talked about
I know you
Willow
are.
Hood more than J-Bo Hood.
Bring back
Yeah.
I know
J-Bo.
you are. Bring back J-Bo Hood as a 30-year-old man.
A 30-year-old man, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Mando
It'd be
era.
Mando.
Yeah, Mando era.
Yeah.
Mando era J-Bo.
We're gonna
It's
go to
J-
Iago.
it's J-Bo and Omega.
If J-Bo Hood becomes a Mando in the Coven, I will lose my shit.
J-Bo Hood is a foundling. Of
Chad will be the
Prediction?
happiest
Mando season 3.
person alive.
Yeah, lock it in now.
Hey, he has
It
an
would-
army
it
of
would
battle
go well with
droids
my
at his disposal.
personal like fan theory that Din is from Naboo, just from
There you
like
go.
some like glintz shots of the architecture when he's being hauled off.
So Din is J-Bo Hood, is what you're saying.
After him getting an N1 and
Oh.
having no reaction to it, I don't think so. But
No,
I'll leave
didn't
it
he,
open.
he said
It's a
wizard.
possibility.
He was
true.
pretty pumped about it.
It's true.
That's a pretty common dialect at this point, though. So
Yeah, wizard.
Everyone says that.
That's true.
Ram Jamaram.
Yep. Thank
Exactly.
you, Ram, for
You know, there's
starting that.
maybe. Well, you could even make a case for like wizard was certainly the phrase around the time he was a kid, and like when Anakin was a kid, then it's sort of like lost over time. But like there's always those phrases, those slang that you just can't let
Whippersnapper.
go of. Those things that like make you that date you.
Yeah.
When I was
Oh,
a
like-
kid, I used to say beast a lot. Oh, that's beast. You remember that? Did anybody say that?
Mr.
I
I,
think
Beast.
it
I remember that era.
There's got to
yeah.
be some '90s phrases that are still in our lexicon that people
That's,
go. Oh,
Where
this
does
is
rad
legendary."
fall in? I'm bringing
That's
back
radical.
rad.
Rad.
Rad,
That's,
back.
Was a
that's
90s
like an
thing.
eight. Is that an '80s '90s?
No,
I think that was
no.
90s.
I
I
don't know.
feel like Ninja Turtles though weren't
Is
they pretty
bitchin'
radical?
90s or 80s?
Bitchin'.
I think
Bitchin' is just
Bitchin'
was
Stranger
earlier.
Things.
Whatever.
Was that an '80s phrase?
Jack is
Oh.
probably right about radical, though, because the Teenage Mutant Ninja
Tubular?
Turtles are definitely
Tubular.
radical.
They're very
Tubular.
radical.
My personal favorite will always be Cool Beans. So
Cool beans.
Bodacious.
Cool beans.
Bodacious.
I was like, that
Bodacious
looks
babes,
good,
dude.
Not. That was
Ooh.
my favorite. Psych. You know. those guys.
did you have 90s or 80s slang on your bingo card?
That's we're about to go off.
Winner.
Well, I'm just saying,
Yeah, no.
wizard is Din's 90s slang.
Yeah. That tracks. That tracks.
I still say they should put more Star Wars swearing in these shows. They can get away with it. Why not?
I mean, they've made up a lot of new. I mean, Dank Ferrick was a whole
Dank
new.
Ferrick, Criff.
They need to use Criff way more.
They,
I mean,
they should
Carabas
be using
good.
Criff.
Carabas is the best one.
Carabas,
Carabas
like
is always the
these-
Carabas
best.
is my
good.
favorite.
these child miners should be swearing like sailors. They don't do any. They don't say anything.
You got any mining
Ah,
songs?
Carabas, I'm starving.
No mining sounds.
Where's the soup?
My full mining song. Yeah, the musical element of this
A
episode. that's what
mining
was missing.
song.
Yeah,
No,
it was
no,
lacking.
Criff Mako.
In the Ipsium mine, mining away. There.
No,
Better than the
no.
Goblin King
No.
sound.
That's it. And they
Scooby-Doo
whistle.
and the Goblin King.
They whistle on their way there. They're now dwarves as well.
Has this discussion run out of steam?
Yes, it has. Has
Yeah,
anything
coming
else
down.
happened in this episode?
It was fun. I don't know. It's a fun time.
It was.
Yeah, it
I
was
enjoyed it.
fun.
This one.
That's what happened in this episode.
What?
We had fun.
I don't know.
I just have something to say, like about shows and people being mad about stuff. Like for anyone that says like things don't happen or like filler episode, to go back to like shows of the 90s, cartoons of the 90s, like and Batman animated series, there was no linear plot really.
Yeah, that's
It just it's just like, oh, there's an adventure every week. So like what is wrong with people now?
I think the reason is it's mainly due to a couple things, but the biggest thing is that 20 even 10 15 years ago, shows were ordered for way more episodes per season. Like they would
Yeah.
order like 20 25 episode seasons, and then slowly but surely as they found out, oh, we don't actually need all these other episodes to still satisfy an audience, and like we can just stretch it out with a couple hiatuses and like half season releases, that they could get away with shorter and shorter seasons. So it became more frustrating when an episode didn't satisfy the main plot because you only have so many to work with, right? Like I feel any episode of a Marvel 6-episode Disney Plus show can be really frustrating if it's not focused entirely on what it needs to. Like heck, Boba Fett really felt that way, right? It's like, why are we wasting a whole episode and a half on Din when we should be focusing on the titular character here, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it's easier to enjoy a Take Me Out to the Holodeck episode when you
Yeah.
know it's 1 out of 25 episodes that you get. So like you can just relax and enjoy that episode.
Yeah.
There you
And
go.
then there is character development to be had, and it's like, and I think people need to remember, like, this is a 16 episode season, so like relax about it. Like there's going to be plenty of time to flesh out this stuff, and we can have, even if it is a filler episode, who cares? It's still going to hopefully be a fun ride for you if you enjoy these characters and like seeing them week to week. Not everything needs to be the main path, but at
Yeah.
the same time, people are always going to be mad about something, like
Jack's got it. Jack's
Yeah,
figured it
that's
out.
it's
guys.
exhausting
it.
trying to worry about them.
Jack's figured it out.
No, I know it's I don't
Along
know.
for the
And
ride.
we cover this show every week anyways, and even when it is an episode that isn't the grandest episode, like we still talk about it for an hour. Yeah, we
we find some
slipped
stuff
in
we really
crosshair
like
talk
about
for a bit.
People are going to be mad.
Yeah,
So it's
people
just
are
like,
people
you
are
don't do if you don't.
kids these days.
Kids.
Yeah, that's it. That's the problem.
Bodacious.
When Itchy struck Scratchy's ribs like a xylophone, he struck
Yep.
2 ribs, but like only 1 tone came out. Boy, I sure hope someone
Hope
got
somebody got fired for that blunder.
What's the deal with podcasts?
Wow. All 90s, all day, guys.
All day.
Simpsons, Seinfeld, we've got them all. Tubular.
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 Cool
Axe it,
beans, guys.
Jamie. Axe it.
So,
They're clearly
thank you so
falling
much
off the
for
rails.
coming on the show today, Levi. Pleasure to have you on. Haven't been on
Pleasure
in
to
a
be
while.
here.
We will be starting next week doing live streams of The Mandalorian season 3.
It's crazy.
Oh my
it's next
gosh,
week.
it's next week. So we'll be moving the Bad Batch stream to just our recorded episodes instead. So you'll still be catching us covering the rest of the season of the Bad Batch, but we'll be focusing live streams on Mando season 3, and maybe we'll do a live stream for the Bad Batch finale. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna push for it personally. There's going to be some words if we don't have it. Anyway, you can find us everywhere on social media at HoloNet Marauders. And if you've been listening to us in the audio version, you can find this on YouTube. If you've been watching on YouTube, hanging out with us live here today, thank you so much. You can take us to go as well in your favorite audio platform. We'll see you guys next week on the HoloNet Marauders podcast.
Bye, everybody. Slop closet.